Hello and welcome to the lecture series on economics of growth and development. In the previous class, we have seen the estimation of poverty in the Indian context. Today, I'll be talking about why there is a need for estimation of poverty. So let's get started. The first point is talking about tracking the welfare schemes or social welfare schemes in an economy. So poverty estimates are not only important for academic purposes, but it is also important to track the achievement as well as the failure of different social welfare schemes which are envisaged by the plans of different countries. So whenever you look at the development plans of any developing country or underdeveloped country, you see that certain welfare programs are already arranged so as to make sure that they eliminate poverty, they provide access to education, access to healthcare and all of that. So these are certain social welfare programs. One of them is directed towards elimination of poverty, and to track that we need to calculate or estimate something called as poverty. So it is not only important for academic purposes but also to look at the or to track the impact of or the success of various social welfare programs intended to eliminate or reduce poverty. So this is the first reason why we need to estimate poverty. The second is below poverty line census is carried out in the rural part of the country, and it is done by the Ministry of Rural Development along with the different states. And these are effectively done, the below poverty line censuses, to look at or to identify the poor households. So therefore, again, to arrive at something called as to identify the poor households in a particular state, the Ministry of Rural Development is doing something called as the below poverty line census. So therefore, the estimation of poverty is very important, and that is why we are doing it. So I hope the second point of need of the poverty estimation is pretty much clear. The third point is talking about the plans which are formulated by different governments to look at elimination of poverty. So whenever poverty lines are formulated, they are effectively used to formulate certain plans such that these plans will help us to eliminate poverty. So whenever you look at in the Indian context, you have something called as the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or MGNREGA, which is a flagship program of the government of India to eliminate poverty. Furthermore, you have the National Food Security Act, looking at the food security or food safety of the individuals in the lower bracket of the country or below the poverty line. Furthermore, you have something called as the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So this is how, here I am looking at the shelter per se, here I was looking at the food per se, nutrition per se, and here I am looking at the employment aspect of it. So these are different ways in which plans are formulated, what to achieve less poverty, or to achieve something called as a reduction or elimination of poverty altogether. So this is the other need why we have to formulate something called as, or why do we need estimations of poverty, to look at the different numbers which we have to take into consideration while formulating my plans for MGNREGA, for example, because these plans are formulated such that you have to allocate certain funds towards these plans. So that is why I have to estimate the poverty numbers, and according to that I have to allocate certain sums or certain amount to probably these different plans to reduce poverty. So the third need is elimination of poverty plan. So that is again an important aspect as far as the developing countries are concerned. Primarily in India, you have these three. There are n number of plans which are formulated by government of India, but these three will give you a good idea or sense of it. The last is the constitutional requirement of a just or equitable society. So whenever you look at the Constitution of India, the Constitution of India envisages India to be a welfare state, meaning thereby it is the duty of the state to provide just services or to make sure there is equitable access to everything in the society. And as a result of that, this becomes the number one goal of the government of India, to make sure that the constitutional requirement of a just and equitable society is achieved with the help of something called as poverty alleviation programs or poverty elimination schemes. And that is why you see the numbers which are used, or the poverty estimations which are given, they help the government of India to formulate certain plans which will help us to achieve something called as the constitutional requirement of a just or equitable society. So this is how you can look at the estimation or the need for estimation of poverty in the Indian context, or primarily in any developing or developed world. So the first was to track welfare or social welfare schemes. The second was to estimate below poverty line in the rural parts of the country. Third, it is talking about the plans which should be formulated to eliminate poverty per se, and then we have the constitutional requirement of just and equitable society. So I hope the 4 points are pretty much clear, which talks about the need for poverty estimation. In the next class, I'll be talking about the different committees of the government of India which were formulated to look at the poverty line estimation. Thank you so much.